I hold up a jar. James points to the hill. And Richard eats a sandwich. So much, everybody. Thank you. Now, we start tonight with a big and important issue. You see, back in 1975, just 15% of people aged over 70 had a driving licence. Today, it's more than 60%. And that means the roads are full of people whose eyes are broken and whose feet hurt.
And car makers are just not recognising this fact. Most modern cars are made for techno-savvy teenagers.
Yeah, my mother, she just says all she wants from a car is classic FM and a heater. And everything else is a waste of money and annoying and possibly even dangerous.
Which is why Jeremy and I decided it was time we went out and bought a car to modify it, especially for today's enormous army of pensioner drivers.
This meant heading to the Top Gear Technology Centre, the birthplace of all our great projects. And while Richard went off to buy a car which we could modify, I examined the scale of the problem. This Volvo has very few buttons, and that's a good thing, but each one seems to do 28 different things depending on how you push it. What does my car mean? Bliss, DSTC, collision warning. Why would you want to turn that off? Look at these. If you're 85, these are just out-of-focus hieroglyphics. Things were just as bad in this Ford Focus. What does block 5A mean? There's literally nothing on here which is old people friendly. Press source for USB BT line in. I'm sure all this makes perfect sense to the fetus that designed it, but to anyone over 65, it is just incomprehensible gibberish. Before I had a chance to get to grips with the Citroën... Oh, for sake. Richard was back with the car he'd bought, a Fiat Multipla, famous for having 3 seats in the front and 3 in the back. To decide what to do with it, we set up a mood room. All top designers use runs like this to put them into the actual mind of the customers they're trying to attract. So, for example, we have an early vacuum cleaner, a one-bar heater, a TV listings magazine, many of which are available, with the programmes we want to watch highlighted.
It really is just like being in James May's front room.
Well, where do you think we got everything from? I think what I'm seeing with every single thing in here is simplicity and comfort. Comfort on the Volgalore chair, simplicity of the mop, the drinks globe, the kettle, the TV, everything is simple.
It's simple, straightforward, and yet in the case of this small sofa, also strangely itchy. After several intense hours in the mood room, we at least knew what colour our car should be, so we went off to get some paint. Excuse me, you know this machine?
Yeah.
Can you match the colours of things?
Yeah, can try.
Can you match the colour of this hearing aid? This bit, specifically that bit, yeah. That's a symphony in beige.
That's the colour we want.
Come on.
But it can really do that, so analyse the colour of the hearing aid. Can it do my left nipple?
With the paint sorted, we went back to the Top Gear Technology Centre to begin work.
Look at this dash. Speedo, out of focus, radio, too complicated. It's all going to be changed, all of it.
I've been thinking about safety, and not just for the car's occupants. So with that in mind, old people find it very difficult to look around when they're reversing. It's just a fact. So I'm planning a system for the rear to help them stop reversing into garage walls and lampposts, their wives. I'm also planning much bigger door mirrors. Then at the front, a radical redesign of the front bumper to avoid and minimise expensive bodywork damage. Thinking. After several hours, Jeremy's dashboard was beginning to take shape. Airbags.
Yeah?
Dangerous, because you're not allowed to put children in the front seat with them there, are you? Because they're too delicate.
Yeah.
Old people, they tend to sit quite far forward, even when they're not driving.
And they're just as delicate as children.
There you go, danger. So I think we get rid of them. Can I have them?
Yeah, I don't need them.
Got a plan.
Here, I'll have your airbags out in 2
Are you
minutes.
sure this is... I'm not sure this
Yes.
But the airbag had to be defused by cutting one of the two wires.
Which one do I cut? Because one presumably sets the bomb off.
Yes.
Well, not bomb, but explosives.
Yeah.
How much explosive is in an airbag?
Quite a lot.
Is there? Is it really a lot?
Yeah, no, it is a lot. Genuinely, it's a lot. You can get burns from it. That's a lot. So let's get inside the mind of the man who made it.
He's Italian.
Yeah.
So if I think it's blue, it's probably brown.
Wait. Yeah, no, you see, brown, that might be what they want you to think. Wait. What colours are in the Italian flag?
None of those. You see,
I wasn't worried.
We can just edit all that stuff out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need hands.
While Hammond continued with his safety features, I started making a new dashboard and soon had something to show my colleague.
You know, elderly people like to drive quite slowly.
Yeah, like James.
Exactly. So this is what I've done to get around the problem.
Brilliant, so it only reads 20, even if they're doing 80 miles an hour.
115. So it's only doing 17 miles an hour, so they're happy.
Yeah.
The people stuck behind whose wives are in labour and they have meetings to get to, they're happy. Everybody wins.
I was also rather proud of my old people-friendly rear fog light.
This will be mounted in the car. This is the switch. So as soon as it starts, a little bit of light drizzle, the elderly person turns on the rear fog light, and then what happens round the back is absolutely nothing at all.
With the new dash sorted, I started to think about the rear seats. And I went online to search for an advert I remembered from the early 80s.
And that's it, that's it. Hammond, come on for this. Watch this commercial. Ready?
Yeah?
It's grand to find a comfortable chair when you're getting on a bit or you've got arthritis. My niece got this from Shackleton's, you know.
You know.
Shackleton's original high seat. Never thought it'd be so easy to get in and out of. Shackleton's high seat chair, it's lovely.
Hang on, so you're saying replace that with one of those?
But they're so easy to get in and out of, you know.
You know, and it is lovely to find a nice high seat. Things were better in the old days.
Oh, they were.
Fact. Come in from the back. Oh, yeah. Come on, that is brilliant.
Our car was coming along nicely. We removed the Fiat badges, which were a bit foreign, and replaced them with something more appropriate. Hammond then softened the suspension, and I installed a pet cage.
The cat bolted to the roof.
Oh, bolting a cat and bolting the cat cage to the roof, and then it'd be up here and I won't get asthma.
As I was busy with my cat carrying system, Hammond decided to make some covers for the front seats.
Weirdly, I've used this as my inspiration. It's a BAC mono. Because it's a track car, it's got no roof or doors or windows, so they've lined the interior with this special material. I've got some here in beige, obviously. Now, it's quite plush. It feels like sort of suede or even velvet. But when it gets wet, here's the strange thing. The water just runs off. Look at that. You'd think it'd be ruined, but it just flies away. And I'm going to use it to make what I shall call Inconti seat covers.
By the evening, our car was almost finished. But we felt a bit strange.
What's extraordinary about today is that without James here, there have been no arguments, nobody's caught fire, nobody's fallen over. We've been like a well-oiled machine, and I think we've created something really rather brilliant.
And with that, back to the studio.
I've just got a question, actually. What do you do, while we're on the subject of old people, what do you do when you know that your mother or father is really too old to be driving anymore?
I know, it is a good question, because you can't really say right hand over your licence.
I think that's why our car makes so much sense.
Yeah, and we shall see how it does in a road test later on.
Yeah.
What happened to your eye? Nothing at all.
No, because you work there with this happy attitude, no part of the needle of the sewing machine went in it. Not even a tiny... No, not even a tiny bit. So, the news. You know there's a new Volkswagen Golf?
Yes.
Very nice, actually. But in 4 months, there'll be a GTI version of it. OK, now that will have 217 horsepower, or actually, no, it's German, isn't it? Cow power. 217 cow power engine, and it's going to be about, what, £25,000. Thing is, though, there's going to be a rival for this. You know the car we looked at last week? The Kia C''D. Well, look at this. This is the... They're calling it the Proceed GT. I think that looks rather good.
It does.
And it's £2,000 less than the Volkswagen.
Yeah, nearly £3,000 less, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. And the thing I like about that is they haven't gone absolutely mad with it. It's a 1.6-litre turbo, 200 horsepower, which is, well, actually...
Well, no, it's not horsepower, it's Korean.
Yes, it's dog power.
Yes, that's not... I tell you what, though, if you don't want to spend that much, and the reason I would bring up these hot hatchbacks up is Volkswagen has announced, you know the little Up, which we love?
It's a great little car.
Really brilliant little car. They've announced they're doing a GT version of it. It's here, OK? Now, this is going to have 110 horsepower, so exactly the same as the original Golf GTI. It's smaller than an original Golf GTI. It weighs less than a tonne. I reckon that will be epic, and it's £13,000.
No, I think that could be brilliant. So if you have ordered a new car for later this year, S-Class, Lamborghini Aventador, whatever it is, cancel your order, you want one of those.
You do? That is going to... I can't wait to drive that.
Now, there is another version of the Mini, yet another.
Oh, not another.
There is another one. We needed one in 20 minutes. It's out this month, it's on sale. It's called the Paceman. Here it is. Oh, look at it. It's so miserable, its little face. I saw one coming the other way, coming into work the other day, and it just looked so catastrophically sad. Morning, it's all over. I hate being a Mini. I had to sleep outside in a dog weed on my wheel last night, and all the big cars steal my petrol money. Look at it.
Damn it. Do that face again. You do look incredibly like it.
It's so depressing. Why have they done that?
I tell you what, though, for radiator grills, have you seen the new Lexus IS? That's like it's got a vacuum cleaner on the front.
To lift your feet as it goes past.
How hard can it be to do a radiator grill? Oh. Hey, bad news. You know when the Tories came to power, they said they were going to up the motorway speed limit to 80, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, the new Transport Secretary, who's called something dreary, Patrick McLaughlin, he's had a rethink.
Oh, God.
No, he says that he's unlikely to up it to 80 because in his constituency there's a very bad road where a lot of people get hurt.
Yeah, now this is quite interesting, isn't it? Because his constituency is the Derbyshire Dales. And we had a look at a map, and there are no motorways.
Yeah, so what this means, ladies and gentlemen, is our Transport Secretary in Great Britain doesn't know what a motorway is. Well, that is a blithering idiot.
No, but in all seriousness, you can't really have a Minister for Transport who isn't interested in, for example, cars and roads.
It would be like making you the Governor of the Bank of England.
Don't do that.
No, because you're not interested in the economy.
Well, no, but I could sort it out.
How?
Well, I could sort out the budget deficit. Well, I'd find out how much it was, and then I'd write a cheque for that amount from the Bank of England.
You probably has a point. That could do it.
Well,
That's economics covered.
And I'd have minted a £9.99 note to make life easier for shopkeepers. Can I just say, actually, changing the motorway speed limit to 80 miles an hour wouldn't actually make a blind bit of difference, would it? Because everybody in the outside lane of the motorway is doing 95.
They are.
And you are.
No, they are. There's no point beating... People go, everyone does 80 on the motorway, and they think they don't. They're doing 95 in the outside.
So all an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit would do is reduce the income from speeding fines, because you're only going to be doing 15 miles an hour of the limit rather than 25.
The fact is that on a weekday afternoon, I'm not talking about weekends when the roads are clogged up with people in Peugeots going to B&Q to buy more hideous decking. I'm talking about a weekday afternoon. Britain has the best standard of driving you'll find anywhere in the world.
No, you're right. You're right. I would agree with that.
Big claim.
Is it? Right, let's run through the opposition, shall we? The Germans all do 150 on the Autobahn that far behind the car in front. The Italians are mad. The French can't get to the greengrocers without crashing into a field. The Americans are belligerent. The Australians are drunk. The rest of the world hasn't got the hang of it yet.
What about the Scandinavians? Because they're pretty...
No, they're not half as good as they think they are.
Really?
They always say, I can drive, but they... Well, I went to the accent. I can drive...
Overreached yourself there, didn't you?
They always say, I can drive at 75 miles an hour on sheet ice, and that's true, they can, but they don't tell you the other thing. They crash all the time.
There isn't a florist window anywhere in Scandinavia that hasn't got a crashed van halfway through it. They just spin off constantly.
They do.
OK, so scrub the Scandinavians, then we're the best.
We are just the best, and that's an end of it.
I think we should have a campaign, a global one, posters by the motorway with a Lord Kitchener-type figure on that says, think, what would the British do?
Alfa Romeo, they have a proud history, don't they, of really excellent names. Evocative, emotive names. Julia, Spider, Giulietta, Stradale, all great names. Yeah, well, they've released photographs of a new Alpha. Here it is. Ooh. Oh, yeah, I know. Oh. Lovely, lovely. Except it's called the Gloria.
Gloria?
That is Gloria. You're looking at Gloria.
Gloria is not the name of an Italian car. Gloria is the name of a receptionist.
Yeah, Gloria has her glasses on a chain round her neck.
Gloria wears tights. What's it called when tights are really thick? Is that 15 denier or 100? 100, right. Gloria wears 100 denier tights and they rasp when she walks.
We went off topic.
We have gone very off topic. Anyway, listen. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning Richard Hammond was late for work.
Oh, I'm sorry, I know.
I arrived at 8:07, you got there at 8:10, you arrived at 10:47.
Yes.
10 to 11 when you arrived.
I was late for school.
Good news. Because while we were waiting for you to rock up, James and I were talking about the enormous success we had last week playing car rugby. Exactly. I think it was a great success. And we were thinking, are there any other sports that you could play in a car?
Were you?
Now, you were so late, we decided to go out onto the track to see if you could play tennis in a car.
Well, you can't.
You can't?
No.
Really?
Yes.
Ah.
Well, we had a couple of cameramen out there, so let's just find out, shall we? Here we go. This is how we filled our morning. Serve.
Here we go, this is a good one.
Oh! It's a great shot. Yes! What? It works!
Yeah, it does. You can play tennis in cars with a bit of editing.
Little bit of editing.
Sure.
It did work really well, though, and it was really good fun.
Well, I'm sorry I missed it.
Now, moving on. Sometimes it seems like the motor industry is a little bit like the film business. Occasionally you get low-budget indies like the Aerial Atom. Sometimes you get a quirky, offbeat foreign language production. That'd be a Saab. And then occasionally you get a big, huge budget blockbuster, such as this. Welcome, everyone, to the new Range Rover. And when I say new, I really mean new. This body shell, for example, still looks pretty much like a Range Rover, but it's been totally redesigned from scratch and made from aluminium. And that saves a whopping 400 kilograms of weight. And that's just the start of it. It has a new active suspension system, so it no longer rolls around like a torpedoed frigate when you go around the bends. It has new electric power steering. It has a new, very clever 8-speed gearbox. Inside, half of the switches and buttons have been ditched to create this more minimalist dashboard. There are also 4 inches of extra legroom in the back, and you no longer have to burn any calories opening the tailgate. On the road, it feels more luxurious than ever. The ride is really very good, quite Rolls-Royce-like. However, all these improvements come at a price, because even the cheapest version, a V6 diesel, costs £71,000, and the supercharged V8 model is almost £100,000. That's Mercedes S-Class money. But then, the Range Rover has long been a Mercedes S-Class rival, and this new one is equally at home on the expensive bits of the Monopoly board. Thing is, though, previous Range Rovers have always been about a bit more than just poncing around a nice big city. They've always been formidable adventure cars, great off-roaders, pioneers in a way. So what I think we'll do now is we'll drive out of London and into this place. The Nevada Automotive Test Center in Nevada. This vast 1,200 square mile proving ground is where the original Hummer was developed, making it the perfect place to find out whether Lord Snooty can still get his shoes dirty. To spice things up a bit, we're going to give the Range Rover some competition. So now, obviously, you're expecting me to introduce a redneck in a massively modified Jeep. But no, we can do better than that, and we have. And here he comes now. Though when I say he, what I really mean is it. Bloody Nora. Meet the Terramax. It has six-wheel drive, tyres the size of Ferris wheels, the ability to drive almost anywhere, and, as you've just seen, nobody in the driver's seat. It's an autonomous vehicle. This thing can go on patrol, deliver supplies, and all without any risk of soldiers being blown up by IEDs. Here's basically how it works. Up on the roof, there's a thing called LiDAR, which is 64 separate lasers spinning round and around very quickly and reading the terrain. And the information that comes back is interpreted by the computer on board and decides where it should go, and then operates the steering, the brakes, the engine, and so on. What it sees is this. Anything that comes up green is basically no problem. It's vegetation, that sort of thing. Anything that comes up in various shades of red is more of an obstacle. So a big rock, a tree, a wall, a cliff face, all that sort of thing. Look at that. That's really quite amazing. But the big question is, can it beat a car built by Brummies and driven by me? What we're going to do is have a race from here to that hilltop over there, a distance of about 10 miles. Between us and the finish line lay many off-road challenges, including rocky ground, steep slopes, cloying mud, and icy rivers. And there would be no pre-planned route. The Range Rover and I would have to adapt as we went along. It's man versus machine, quite literally. 3, 2, hang on. So I suppose it's got a mind of its own, isn't it? It's May versus Schwarzenegger. In truth, the jump start didn't really matter, because I was on standard road tyres, and this path was so craggy, he was always going to be faster anyway. Look at the size of the tyres on that thing. Oh, God, he's miles in front. Right, if you're thinking of placing a bet on this at home, here are the odds. Team Terminator with the Terramax, they can go over terrain that I can't manage, and the boffins who built it have programmed satellite maps of the whole area into its brain. So it already has a pretty good idea of where to go. And if they want, they can take control of it remotely, like a drone. Team Top Gear with the Range Rover, you have me, possibly the greatest off-road vehicle in the world, and higher speed. I also had Land Rover's terrain response system, which allows you to select different settings for the car, depending on the type of surface you're on. But there is a new feature. You can now push the knob down and it goes into automatic mode, and then the car will work out for itself, believe it or not, what sort of terrain you're on, what ride height you need, all the rest of it. Right now, though, it was speed I needed, and with these tyres on this terrain, I wasn't getting any. God, but that looks like a shortcut. That is a short. I'm going to risk this. The shortcut was a steep, slippery slope. Right, hill descent. Here we go. Whoa! Whoa, that's steep. No, I'm losing it. No, I'm not. Whoa! Oh, God, he's right there. And sure enough... Yes, take that, Robocop. And things could only get better, because ahead of me lay a fast, sandy track. Whee! This is the 510 horsepower supercharged Range Rover. You'd be mad to buy this one in Britain. It's so thirsty. Makes sense out here, though, and it makes sense doing this. I've no idea where Robocop is, but he ain't going as fast as this. Sadly, Robocop didn't need to, because the boffins back at base switched to drone mode, remotely deflated the tyres for better grip in tricky conditions, and ordered it to take a shortcut of its own over even rougher ground. Way! Back on the sand track, I was at least reaping the benefits of the Range Rover's 400-kilogram diet. Hang on, a quick downshift for the sandy hairpin. Look at that, it's beautiful. But the Terramax's shortcut had put it ahead, and now the terrain was even more in its favour. It's not going fast, but it is utterly relentless. It just goes. Moments later, I arrived at the ridge the Terramax had just climbed. Holy moly! Oh, what the hell? Here we go. Geronimo! Whoa! Did you see that? That is astounding. Meanwhile, the Terramax was surging ahead. And once it had crossed the river, it could hit its top speed of 35 miles an hour, which meant I had to push even harder. Whoa, that's deep. Oh, that's getting a bit dicey. Whoa! Whoa! It really is astonishing, this thing. I see you cheering, Birmingham. Here we go. This will weigh up to 36 inches, this car. That's more than a Land Rover Defender, more than the old car would. The air intake's to be moved up to the top of the bonnet so the water doesn't go in the engine. There's no holes in the river. I'm across. Yes! Back on smooth ground, I could now close down the Terramax. Where is he? No sign of the metal bastard. Actually, the driverless swine was starting its ascent of the final hill. There's Arnie. I'm on his 6. Now, I could follow that thing and then just try and overtake it at the last minute in a rush to the finish line, but I don't think that's going to work, to be honest, because it's just going to end up somewhere where I can't go. On the map, Arnie's route was shorter, but also clearly steeper, so I went for a longer, shallower track. Here we go, and it's smooth and good. That's where I'm going. I can see a whiff of the orange smoke. This is excellent. Lost sight of Arnie. Absolutely no idea where it is. Whilst Arnie ploughed relentlessly upwards, my gamble started to backfire. This is getting tricky. Ah! Calm down, man. Jesus, it's getting worse. Ah! I'm sorry, I really can't do it much faster than this. I'll just pull a tyre off or smack something, and it'll be over. The summit was now just half a mile away. You could be just the other side of that rise. I've got no way of knowing. There's the orange smoke. Here we go, here we go. Here's my checkered flag, and no Terramax. Yes! Ha ha! I thank you. How about that? An intelligent machine driven by a computer has been beaten by the intelligent machine driven by a human being, which is exactly as it should be, of course. We are still the most important component in a car, and if we weren't, we'd all be doomed.
You walk on slippery surfaces.
I don't like low traction.
Yeah, but why do you need traction? It's you. You're not going to be moving quickly or changing direction suddenly, are you?
No, and the other thing as well is I think I could have done the Range Rover test a bit more quickly.
Really?
No, you could. All you have to say is at the front there's too much bling, at the back the boot is too small, and everything in between is utterly outstanding.
Yeah, you could have added in that because it's so much lighter than the previous model, it's much more economical.
Yeah, there we are. Covered everything. Can we get onto that Terramax, actually?
Yes.
Because that was built to take supplies to the front line in a battlefield.
Well, that's the idea, that you don't endanger any soldiers. You send the truck by itself.
And that makes sense, but you know, Google and indeed Oxford University are currently working on a driverless car that we can all buy. And I'm sorry, but I can't see the point.
No, neither can I. My car has arrived at work. I'm not in it.
I've sent the car into town to do the shopping.
I mean, the school run, perhaps. You could send the kids off while you stay in bed, but other than that, utterly pointless. Anyway, it's now time to put a start in our reasonably priced car. Now, my guest tonight likes bikes and is incredibly tiny.
Who is it, me?
Have you ever seen Keira Knightley naked?
Yes.
Really? No. Well, he has, and he's kissed Angelina Jolie.
No, I've done that.
No, you haven't.
In my mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, James McAvoy! Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you very much. Have a seat. So here you go, Atonement, Last King of Scotland, X-Men, and now you crown it all.
The Bill. I was in
The Bill as well?
I was in the Bill.
Oh, you don't crown that, but this is top gear, second best to the Bill.
Yes.
Now, the guests we've had recently on the show, Mick Fleetwood, Amy MacDonald, really quite good car histories. Yours is shocking.
Is it? Okay, we'll get on.
I think you're the first man we've ever had sit in that seat who once owned a Nissan Micra.
Listen, I was very proud of that car, and I have to say, that car was not even 1 metre, and it went like the clappers.
It didn't?
Brilliant. It did.
Oh, no. No, because you moved from that to something not much better.
It was called a Renault Clio. And it was a 1.2. 5-door, my friend. And it had a fantastic heating system.
Did it?
It did. It warmed up very quickly, much warmer than my new car, which is an Audi Q3 now.
I actually said the other day, it's the dreariest car. But anyway, let's gloss over that.
Right, go.
Because the problem you had is that you didn't pass your driving test till really quite recently.
I passed it about 4 years ago. I first took my driving test for a TV show called State of Play, and then failed. So I just thought, to hell with it, and I started riding motorbikes. And then 4 years ago, I was having a baby, so I thought I better learn how to drive, and I finally passed my test.
Because I was just thinking, there was a Channel 4 thing called Shameless you were in. You drove in that, I'm sure you drove in
I played a car thief in that, and I have to say that Channel 4 never once asked me for a driver's licence. So how did they got to choose? I don't know.
Now, you say you went off into bike. Well, you were into bikes before cars.
Yes.
So what was your first bike?
My first bike was not really a bike. My first bike was... It was a Vespa.
Oh, God.
It was a scooter.
No, I drove one of those all the way across Vietnam, and they are death traps.
Right.
Did you fall off yours?
I did fall off mine. Within 28 hours of owning one, for the first time, I found myself illegally, by accident, on the North Circular. And I was at, you know those big junctions, those big roundabout junctions you get on the North Circular? With a guy in a Maserati behind me, revving his engine and beeping me, because he was angry that I was on the North Circular. And I thought, I'm trying to get off, give me a break. So the lights go green, and I was so under so much pressure that I revved off too quickly, and going round a corner, and you know you get all that dust and gravel at the edge? I went into it, the thing span away from me and went about 30 feet down the road. And that was my second day as a biker. So
That was second... Because I can remember once being in a Maserati on the North Circular. No, gloss over that.
A green Vespa, yeah?
Anyway, your new film, which I went to see last night.
Right.
Good.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Good.
Yeah, we're very proud of it.
It's called Welcome to the Punch. We have a clip, which I'd like to show for you now.
Can you just take a step back for a minute?
Max is an inch away from piecing all this together.
We'll end this tonight. And when it's over, we'll go to prison.
Why don't we just let off some fireworks while we're at it?
It's properly good. I really did enjoy that. I've got a couple of questions from that. Number one, that's an Alpha 159 you're driving.
Yes.
Did you not think when you were driving that, this is better than my Audi Q3?
I didn't have an Audi Q3 at the time. I think I had a Citroen C3 Picasso.
Oh. Gets worse. The other thing as well I noticed in that is your beard. You still have. Now, this is because you're in...
Macbeth.
Macbeth.
I'm transgendered.
Were you surprised when you grew it and it was orange?
Well,
You know, your hair's not orange.
and I'm not orange down there.
You're not orange there.
I've had people ask me, do I dye my top? But I don't. I really don't.
So do you know why it's orange? Was it disappointing to be
I don't
orange?
know why it's red, but I dig it. I like it. I don't need a comment, but I like it.
I'm fine with an orange beard. Now, I believe it was Michael Fassbender, a former guest here, actually, who suggested we should contact you to get you on, because he said you'd love it.
I would love it, yeah.
And did you?
I did love it.
He's been your driving partner, hasn't he?
He's been... we would operate, I don't know what you'd call it, but you know when you get the motorbikes with the sidecar racing, and you get the guy on the side doing the counterbalance? Yeah. We would do that for each other, taking it in turns on a golf buggy. When we made X-Men. Our golf buggy was thankfully restricted, but we got into our director's golf buggy one day unknowingly, which had been de-restricted, and I think it went the grand total of like 17 miles an hour or something like that. Anyway, I was driving, Michael's in the back doing counterbalance, and I'm here, passenger seat here, there's a seat here, passenger bit, and then another passenger bit there, and then a little footplate here. He's on the footplate, hanging on, kind of like going like that when I'm going that way and all this kind of thing. Anyway, he gave me such good counterbalance at one point, like just flipped, and when it sort of landed again, it caught so much traction that we just launched forward. And we were going too fast because it was de-restricted. Anyway, we launched into the back of a Lexus. And I flew forward, smacked my face off the windscreen, and the next thing I knew, I was about 15 foot away from the actual golf buggy, lying on the ground. And I looked up, and Michael had somehow managed, with a roof and 2 passenger seats, then the driver's seat there, managed to fly forward, and he was sitting in the driver's seat. And his shins were like the Niagara Falls of blood. He was just cut to shrivels.
Because there's something about a golf buggy which is hysterical. They should never be used for golf. Totally wasted. Anyway, listen, if I'm honest with you, when I heard that you were able to come on, very excited, and I thought, he's only been driving 25 minutes. There's no way he's going to be any good. So, who'd like to see if he was or not? Let's play the lap.
Right, here we go. Drum shuffle. This is for you.
Clear your throat. The mighty Kia C apostrophe D. Do you get the corner right? Looking good. Not the tortured tyres, but we're through safely.
Dirty little Kia.
It's only because you had a few offs in practice that it's dirty, it's a clean, legs together sort of car.
Why do I keep checking my rear view mirror? There's nobody behind me, except my dust.
You would be amazed how many people do that. Right, mirror, signal, manoeuvre.
It looks much slower than it feels.
Yeah, no, it's awful, that. But the slower it looks, sometimes, the faster you are.
Come on, come on, come on. Ah. God, you end up speaking like you're in a movie. It's ridiculous. Come on, come on, come on. Listen to me.
Now, you got to talk to them. They look like machines, but they're not really. Close to the tyres? Yes, that was close. Lewis Hamilton close, wobbled the camera. Second to last corner, 2 bites at the cherry. Yes, but through and not off, and that's good. And now we come into Gambon. Got him understeer. Oh, my God! Which way did you end up facing?
Straight, I went straight on.
No, but the car was completely...
Yeah, but I got it back, though.
You got it back?
Yeah, I got it back.
I mean, you must be a hell of a quick learner, because for someone who's only been driving for, well, not very long, to be able to do that, it didn't look too bad at all.
It was great fun, actually, and thank you so much for letting me have a go.
Oh, man, it was
Thanks very much. I don't need to know my time.
Right, so where do you think that you came?
I think I should have got about 143, probably, and I kept messing up one of the turns in particular, so I think I've got about 145.
I like your ambition.
Thanks very much.
But it is ambitious to go out. So you're thinking 145, Sebo. Well, you did it, James McAvoy, in 1:43.6. You made your goal.
I cannot believe that. Oh, my God, I actually didn't do too badly.
He's actually breathing a sigh of relief, because I don't think he will have wanted you to go faster. Fassbender is not... That's a genuinely pleased man.
I'm really, really pleased, because I've had the kind of premonition of me going round the track, and I've always thought I'll flip the car. I will, like, roll it badly, and so I really did believe that I'd be down in the bottom quarter.
Well, you're not.
Yes!
Ladies and gentlemen, James McAvoy!
The population of Britain is getting older, and yet cars seem to be getting more and more complicated and fiddly, which is why earlier on, Jeremy and I decided to make a car specifically for old people. And now it's time to test it on the road.
The location for this maiden voyage was Christchurch, the south coast town with a larger percentage of elderly residents than anywhere else in Britain. It's the perfect place, then, to test our new car.
Now listen, I've got a couple of questions for you. First of all, this.
Yeah, underneath the brake pedal I've fitted one of these, so you know which pedal you're hitting.
Oh, I see. So there's no chance of unintended acceleration.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Solved.
Am I pushing the right pedal?
There you
Yes,
go.
I am. There's an audible reminder. That's brilliant.
Not only that, but the nature of the noise.
Yes, it's funny when it comes to cadence braking.
Oh, that is lovely.
Because a cadence braking situation is a panic situation.
Yes, bad.
But that sprinkles some comedy into it. And then the next one I've got really is this.
Well, I've been thorough here. I've addressed all the senses because, look, magnified glass.
Let's have a look. Whoa!
Of course, the main improvement we'd made was the new, easy-to-use dashboard.
Hammond, would you like to set the sat-nav, please?
Yeah, we have a choice of 4 destinations.
Yeah, we do.
Home, post office, Peggy's house or bingo.
Yes, we do.
What do you fancy?
Bit of bingo?
I fancy a bit of bingo.
Bit of bingo?
It's in.
There you go.
You have selected bingo. If you wouldn't mind turning left, that would be smashing.
You see, now that's what I call a sat-nav instruction. So much better than the German ones. Go left to select roundabout or you'll be shot!
Who wants to be told by a German where to go?
I know, or a young German.
At that.
Continue straight on. This area was bombed during the war, you know.
Oh, you see.
Those are the details you want. War, rationing.
Next, we tested my new speedometer.
Taking it up to 5. 7. 9 miles an hour. And into 4th.
Go straight on.
10.
But then, disaster.
It's gone.
What?
The cat.
No!
The cat had not fared well. Then, a young policeman arrived.
Where was the cat before?
It's there, but the...
So is it your cat or...
It's dead.
And his name? Tiddles.
Dead.
Tiddles.
Ex-cat.
After giving the cat a decent burial, we reached the bingo hall
You've arrived. Lovely.
and went off to find a parking space.
Right, there's one, look.
Where?
Next to that Focus.
Oh, yeah. Are you shuffling the wheel properly?
Yeah.
These are lovely crashes.
No damage whatsoever to any vehicle in this car park.
3 at 6:36.
We expected bingo to be very relaxing,
871, 81.
but it wasn't.
21.
I've never concentrated so hard in my life.
2 at 8, 28.
Oh! I'm literally wetting myself. It's coming out.
All the 6s, 66.
Oh, say 86.
5, 66.
Even though we'd lost 17 shillings, we'd had a great time.
Oh, exciting.
Was it ever?
But afterwards, there was an issue.
Now, Jeremy, can I ask you a question? Can you remember where we parked our car?
No, Richard, I can't.
This is a common problem, and not just for the elderly, which is why you may have noticed on top of our car was a box. In that box is a special feature that I can activate if I press this button on the key fob.
There it is. You see, this activates a flare, and we now know to head in that direction.
Very quickly, we found the correct car park, but we still couldn't find the car.
You're the height of most elderly people. Can you see our car in this car park?
No, I can't. And that's why, if I press this button... You see?
So it's brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
The flare guides us to the rough position, and the balloon takes us to the precise location of the car.
Having wound in the balloon locator system, we decided to find out how our car would go down with some actual old people. So we set off to an old people's home.
Turn right at the newfangled mini roundabout.
And on the way, I showed Hammond another of my special features.
Now, the radio, Hammond, just one station. It's the music from the Horse of the Year show. And old people love that because you can clap along to it.
Hang on, did it tune into any of the stations?
No, that's it. And you just plays it on a loop constantly. But why do you want anything else? What if you get in your car after your children have been driving it and they've left it tuned to Radio 1?
Or worse still, Radio 2 and that talk show man who does, you know...
Jeremy Vine.
There you go, those difficult topics. They're unsuitable, I don't
What,
want
like pregnancy?
Exactly.
However, there was a problem.
I can't stop clapping.
Seriously, I can't stop clapping.
This is a massive design fault.
Turn it off.
Eventually, we arrived at the old people's home
Well done. That was lovely.
and went to find a testing team.
So you're Miriam,
I am, yes.
and you're Betty,
Yes, I'm Barbara.
and you're Barbara, and this is the car that we've...
What is she called?
No, this is the James.
Called the James.
James.
The James.
The
to give it its
Rover
proper name.
James.
Oh, it's a Rover, yes.
First impressions, what do we think?
That's
good name.
wonderful.
This material is waterproof,
Oh, good.
so if there's any little accidents, don't you worry.
However, there was an issue with the Shackleton rear seating.
Have you got a hoist?
That bit there.
See, in the advert for the chairs, we were told they were very easy to get into and out of, you know.
Get me bottom round.
Should we get a nurse to do this?
We're an older
No, I'll do it if it kills me.
Well, we'd rather it didn't.
Oh, right, I was going to
There'll
say.
be- there's a lot of paperwork.
I'm so
Can I help
sorry.
at all?
No. Hey!
With both our dignity nearly intact. Lovely.
With the testing team on board, we set off to the Bowls Club.
Don't overdo it, not with your back.
Look at the speed we're going now, 3 miles an hour, as you can see.
Oh, isn't this absolute fun?
Soon we reached our destination,
Here we are, ladies, at the bowling club.
Ooh, lovely.
and Hammond insisted I show off his new parking sensors.
Just keep going. Yeah, keep going. So just keep
But you know there's no bumper on the back.
Just keep backing up. Ignore the noise, pretend you can't hear that at all.
That was something. What did he hit?
External rear-mounted airbag.
But,
It's genius.
excuse me a minute. 3 quite elderly ladies in there have now all had heart attacks. Look at it.
There is that.
Ladies, I do apologise for that. When have you ever experienced banging like that?
The war, when the bombs dropped.
So you're saying that because these ladies lived through the war, they're capable of dealing with a bang of that nature?
Yes.
Leaving the ladies to play bowls, we went off to buy food for a picnic.
What about some Battenbergs, or is that too German? It is too German, isn't it?
Sandwich spread.
Potted meat!
Beef spread.
They must have ginger beer in Christchurch.
Ginger beer's a bit racy, don't you think?
No, they love it. Enid Blyton used to rub herself with it. There it is. Peruvian, Greek, Brazilian,
Holland.
Dutch.
Grown in UK. With the shopping finished, it was time to demonstrate yet another feature of the James. If you've got osteoporosis, arthritis, lumbago,
Or rheumatism.
or rheumatism, then lifting your heavy shopping into the boot can be, well, very difficult indeed. But with this genius solution, not a problem. Bring the trolley up to the back, that's easy. Lift, drop in, job done.
How brilliant is that?
Having picked the ladies up, we set off for our picnic.
Where did you get that mouse from? It's a squeaky ball he's got underneath the brake.
Sadly, because it was an English summer's day, it soon started to rain, which revealed a bit of a design flaw.
Oh, no, what's happened here?
That's a lot of water coming in now.
This is a disaster that we've had, Hammond.
I think some of our modifications have interfered with the waterproofing.
Is it all on you, dear? It's all a great stream down there.
And look at the spirit of the Blitz going on as well. This is what makes us great.
The Americans would be weeping now.
Oh, they've been making a fuss. Where's nothing. And we had just the thing to raise our spirits even more. Can't help it.
You can't, can you? Oh, no, the constabulary.
Oh, not again.
Sorry, officers. Nothing to see here.
Eventually, we arrived at exactly the sort of picnic spot elderly people love.
There we go. Now, if we pop it, what, just here?
Yeah.
Look at that, for a sunset picnic.
Having rescued what we could from the ruined shopping trolley,
Mr. Kipling, bread.
This is all soaked.
we settled down to do what all old people do when they're on a picnic together. The next morning, we left Christchurch, generally quite pleased with how things had gone.
Oh, what? Leaking again. There are a few things we need to address. There's obviously there's the waterproofing, the Shackleton easy chairs that aren't, as it turned out, so easy to get in and out of, you know.
The irresistible clapping machine.
Yeah.
Hold on, if we're carrying along here, we'll have to get on the motorway.
Yes, I know, and that will give us the opportunity to test a feature that I fitted.
What?
Well, you know you're always reading in the newspapers about an old person who's driven 30 miles the wrong way down the M1.
Yeah.
Well, I fitted something that'll stop that happening.
How?
Well, now look, you see here, it's not clearly marked. It's easy to go the wrong way down that slip road.
I just did.
Exactly. Watch this, here we go.
Oh, I see. That's clever. That's good. But if I miss the signs, I could just as easily miss all this.
Yeah, OK, keep going.
Oh, this is going to be... Oh.
Keep going. There you go.
You idiot!
What?
Well, it's ruined.
Yes, but I can't go on the motorway going the wrong way.
No, we can't go anywhere because
Exactly.
you exploded the car.
We're alive. Everybody on that motorway is alive. This is the best solution ever.
I've wet myself again.
Thank you, ladies. What? I knew you'd have something to say about it. What?
I think you've overdone it.
What on this is overdone?
That heater, that's too complicated.
I said that. You don't need a button for hot and a button for cold. You just need one that says just right.
No. Let's not get bogged down with details, because I think it's more important we express our appreciation for the man who provided us with the voice for our satellite navigation system, because it was the lovely Richard Bryars, who sadly died just last week. So, thank you. I'm honoured to have had it. Anyway, next week, it is our Christmas special.
It's hardly Christmas, is it?
Not really.
Well, it is if you're watching this on Dave in 2016.
Good point. Anyway, it's us in 3 very cheap estate cars plunging around in the heart of Africa looking for the source of the River Nile.
Now, it is in 2 parts. This is quite simple. Part 1 is on next Sunday, part 2 the week after that.
Yep, and they are both worth a watch because we do quite literally rewrite history.
We do indeed, and on that bombshell, time to end. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Good night.